We see the ripples in the water, fluctuating imagery that reveals a distressed and stormy ocean, symbolizing the unsettled mind of Rei. He wakes up from the dream on a lonely mattress on the floor, surrounded by empty ramen cups and a used shogi table. He opens the balcony door and lets in the summer breeze. The sound and image of water is ever present. He puts on his clothes and walks out the door. As he walks down the street, he is caressed by a soothing song with French lyrics about being trapped in a sea of sadness and love, and about removing the dark colors around you. He arrives at the place where he is in his element. A kind-looking man walks in and asks how he has been. That's a tough one to answer though, so he doesn't. The competitive game of shogi ensues. Pitch-perfect sound editing makes us feel as if we are right there. Rei wins. On his way home, he hesitantly agrees to go eat with a certain family. The Kawamoto's burst of joy and warmth is so strong, it's almost a bit jarring and too much to take in. It's still nice though. After dinner, he falls asleep. Hinata is right there to take off his glasses. This is where the audience and Hinata alike notices that Rei's crying in his sleep, and it leads us to ask the question, what has this young man been through? On the contrary of what I feel other people might suggest, March Comes In Like a Lion is not an anime that glorifies the mundane everyday life to provide lessons about how beautiful everything can be, nor is it a cozy slice of life endeavor just for your soothing pleasure. I mean, if that's what you take from it, that's absolutely fine, but my experience is vastly different. March Comes In Like a Lion is displaying the world, or at the very least that of Tokyo, through the lens of a young man. His experiences, memories, and thoughts are masterfully exposed to us by the various elements the medium of anime provides. For instance, this sequence showing an old acquaintance of Rei does not look the way it does to appear avant-garde. It looks like it does because this is literally how he recalls her, whether it is by choice or unconsciously. What we are supposed to gather from a sequence like this is not that this is a bad or a scary person, but that is how Rei subjectively identifies her. The subject of the narrative, the adolescent professional shogi player Rei Kiriyama, is a troubled young man to say the least. I think everyone will be able to relate to the way Lion depicts mental turmoil. Whether you have experienced depression, anxiety, trauma, or other diseases of the mind, or whether you're an incredibly emotional or sensitive individual, or whether you have just been a bit sad from time to time, there is something here for every person to latch onto. Just like Rei himself, we can get caught up in the hectic head of his. In fact, so much so that if other characters snap him out of it, it can almost come off a bit awkward. Of course, that is all intentional. However, as relatable as the show and these characters can be, they are not just empty shells for your self-insertion. Besides Rei, who is arguably one of the more complex anime characters of recent times, a lot of the side characters are beautifully realized within the narrative. It even works that some of them may come off a bit simplistic, because that just means that is how Rei perceives them. In of itself, it is quite the achievement to create a story that studies a troubled person, not through exposition or actions, but by literally showing us what such inner turbulence might look like. But thankfully, that is not where Lion stops to impress. The visuals, as representative and important as they are also just as polished and lovely to look at. The soundtrack is soothing and memorable. It is not just composed and produced in a machine. You really can feel the gentle emotional touch on each note. Just like the animation brilliantly visualizes various emotions on screen, so does several of the lyrical tracks capture the essence of quite a few complex feelings. I'm listening a lot to the soundtrack as of late, and during one of the tracks I was like, yep, that's pretty much what I think depression sounds like. What I find really interesting is that a lot of the time Lion feels more like a Charlie Kaufman drama than a Japanese animated series, and that is by no means a bad thing. Ironically enough, at the same time, I think it is rare that you get a television series that utilizes its visuals to tell so much of the story and study the characters as this one. It really is a gem, and maybe even a hidden one because it doesn't seem to be growing too much in popularity. I really hope that this, alongside the other one, doesn't get completely outshined because it really does deserve all the attention that it can get. This was probably the best anime I got to see in 2016, and I want everyone to experience this. See you later.